Let Malzahar play solo. Imagine if Janna was attacking there instead of just like focusing on healing and shielding. You need to get the fuck out of here. Oh my god. Bro, just pressed R. This is so cancer. I voted no. I voted no. I voted no. I'm sorry, but I'm playing with pussies. We'll get a better game, I believe.
All of the character buffs are actually quite impactful for their respective characters. If I were to rank the buffs in a tier list, it would look something like this. Sucrose is on her own tier because the buffs to her kit don't actually matter. You would never make a team to activate her Hexeray buffs. Her main value is that she counts as a Hexeray character to enable the buffs for the other Hexeray characters. Then I would group all the DPS oriented characters. Venti's buffs are very unique, turning him into either a main DPS or a support for other Anemo DPSs. However, he just looks alright in both of these roles. Good, but nothing nothing insane. However, he could gain more value if Varka synergizes very well with the buff Venti. That would definitely move him up in my list. For Klee and C6 Razor, the buffs turn them from relatively weak characters into solid DPSs that are around Fontaine level in terms of damage. Even with the buffs, most T tiers don't consider them better than Arlecchino and Cloran, who are close comparisons, mainly because they lack some quality of life. But they're still pretty good, especially when compared to before. And lastly, we have the 3 supports. Mona is the most niche support out of the 3, as only a select few characters can truly take advantage of her new buffs, but for these characters such as Molani, Hexeray buffed Mona is very strong, and she gets even better with Constellations, even getting some solid DPS potential at C6. Lastly, we have Fischl and Albedo, who I consider got the best character buffs out of the batch. Fischl already being a good character, and further getting a significant team attack and or EM buff is amazing for her, considering she can easily fit in many Shepherd's Overload, Overvape, and Electric Charge or Lunar Charge teams. And Albedo with the buffs is no longer one of the worst limited 5-stars that was power crept by Chiori, but a pretty strong sub DPS with actual team buffs, making him now better than Chiori, especially with his C1 being available for free. All of the character buffs are actually quite impactful for their respective characters. If I were to rank the buffs in a tier list, it would look something like this. Sucrose is on her own tier because the buffs to her kit don't actually matter. You would never make a team to activate her Hexeray buffs. Her main value is that she counts as a Hexeray character to enable the buffs for the other Hexeray characters. Then I would group all the DPS oriented characters. Venti's buffs are very unique, turning him into either a main DPS or a support for other Anemo DPSs. However, he just looks alright in both of these roles, good but nothing insane. However, he could gain more value if Varka synergizes very well with the buff Venti. That would definitely move him up in my list. For Klee and C6 Razor, the buffs turn them from relatively weak characters into solid DPSs that are around Fontaine level in terms of damage. Even with the buffs, most T tiers don't consider them better than Arlecchino and Cloran, who are close comparisons, mainly because they lack some quality of life, but they're still pretty good, especially when compared to before. And lastly, we have the 3 supports. Mona is the most niche support out of the 3, as only a select few characters can truly take advantage of her new buffs, but for these characters such as Molani, Hexeray buffed Mona is very strong, and she gets even better with Constellations, even getting some solid DPS potential at C6. Lastly, we have Fischl and Albedo, who I consider got the best character buffs out of the batch. Fischl already being a good character, and further getting a significant team attack and or EM buff is amazing for her, considering she can easily fit in many Shepherd's Overload, Overvape, and Electric Charge or Lunar Charge teams. And Albedo with the buffs is no longer one of the worst limited 5-stars that was power crept by Chiori, but a pretty strong sub DPS with actual team buffs, making him now better than Chiori, especially with his C1 being available for free. All of the character buffs are actually quite impactful for their respective characters. If I were to rank the buffs in a tier list, it would look something like this. Sucrose is on her own tier because the buffs to her kit don't actually matter. You would never make a team to activate her Hexeray buffs. Her main value is that she counts as a Hexeray character to enable the buffs for the other Hexeray characters. Then I would group all the DPS oriented characters. Venti's buffs are very unique, turning him into either a main DPS or a support for other Anemo DPSs. However, he just looks alright in both of these roles, good but nothing insane. However, he could gain more value if Varka synergizes very well with the buff Venti. That would definitely move him up in my list. For Klee and C6 Razor, the buffs turn them from relatively weak characters into solid DPSs that are around Fontaine level in terms of damage. Even with the buffs, most T tiers don't consider them better than Arlecchino and Cloran, who are close comparisons, mainly because they lack some quality
It's so
of life.
gaggy up in here.
Have you considered carrying Vandal Scout biscuits? We have over 100 flavors.
Chase to your heart's content.
I've got a good feeling about today.
She's just like shoving over and over again.
It's okay. You will become a scout someday. Vandal Scout always strives for excellence.
Who's AP?
That was tough, but I'm tough too. Gotta run.
Hey, we got feats of strength.
Shopkeep, what's the latest? Swiftly. Rule number 92 says, you can't help others if you don't help yourself first. Gotta run. Woo! The blinkers. Up, 2, 3, 4. How's it going? Quickly. Here's a mushroom if you're anemic. One more.
Fucking bitch. She CC'd me for fucking ever.
Scout journal entry. Had a mushroom-related insect. Returning to the now. Gotta stay quiet. Here I am. Pick up the pace.
Good like. Noob. Let me teleport on top of her. Where she can fucking chain CC me and I can't do shit. That's smart. My teammates are actually fucking criminal. I fucking hate them.
chance to show the tenacity of the Bandle Scout spirit.
Savor life's closing act.
That's my assist a friend badge.
Cause he took my blue buff, bitch.
Everything is better than mushrooms. Be right back. I forgot my emergency marshmallow. That's right.
They're so bad, mama.
Every adventurer should know right best. I love camping. Leave this right here.
Beyond the veil.
Always happy to lend a hand.
The fuck, Hazukan?
Here I am. Gotta run. Here's a mushroom with your name on it.
Not here. Not here.
Scout rule number 151. Every Yoidle loves a portal.
Savor life's closing act.
But you just used that. monkey. Captain Timo is ready. Captain Timo is ready. Captain Timo is ready. Captain Timo is ready. Captain Timo to the rescue. Captain Timo is ready. I'm a gunner. I like Gunyan mama. No.
We have always known it.
Swiftly! Gotta run! Watch your step! Don't be suspicious. Pick up the pace! Where did I put my goggles? Oh, wait, they're on my head. Here I come.
Still has 3 dashes, by the way. Yeah, let me get her out of turret range. Let's not like fight under my tower where I can kill her. Let's fight outside of the turret range. What the fuck is wrong with my team? The victor!
Mushroom-related incident. Returning to the field now. Woo!
I almost took that. Where did the monkey go? Brother. Where's your damage? These motherfuckers, look at Ari. Oh my god. Trying to blind E. You're never gonna land that bitch. God, I hate Teemo. Oh my gosh, she's so mad. Bomba. Dude, like, that Kindred was trying too hard. Not gonna lie. She was trying a little too hard. And she still lost. Like, girl. Girl, that's fucking embarrassing. That's a disappointing amount of damage.
How about a drink?
The Primelia is pretty fun.
Stick with me. I'll keep you warm.
Not that I would know because I'm a fucking noob. This is my first time playing. Out of all the champions in this fucking game, he wants my champion. I'm not playing with some area, right? I think I am. I don't want to go to bed. TV shows. I need to go to the dentist tomorrow.
My flamingos aren't just cute, they're also helpful. Wait, I'll show you guys. I can help.
It's okay.
Even when I'm knocked down, my flamingos always have my back.
I think we've been had the beats. Fuck you, bitch.
Meant to do that. Guiding light.
playing Sona has more balls than player playing the other two. I don't know why I don't know why you can't talk.
I'm just warming up. Get it? No? Only 'cause you're so cute. The jungle isn't as creepy as it looks. Run it up! I meant to do Should be pretty easy. Let's head.
Each game. In lane. Then the fucking smolder like a giga fed. Okay, second most damage in the team. I think I'll just go to bed after doing my dailies. Yup, that's the plan. So
This is your brain when you're struggling to focus. And this is your brain when you're in the zone.
So this is what we're going for, for the look of our cookie. I do feel like this is maybe not what they meant when they were like, but make it a cookie. Happy holidays, everyone. I'm Claire Saffitz. I'm in the NYT Cooking Studio, and today I'm showing you my submission for Cookie Week. It is a mortadella cookie, but it's not how it sounds. It's actually strawberry almond flavored, but it looks like everyone's favorite deli meat. Is that a selling point? I think so. But it's super cute and really fun, and it gets made in the food processor. It's actually pretty quick. So the idea was to do something really playful, and I was kind of going down a rabbit hole of chocolate sausage, which is like a thing. And I was like, what if you did that with mortadella? But then I wanted to bake it because it's a cookie, and strawberry almond kind of came to me, and it uses freeze-dried strawberries, which are really like every baker's secret weapon because you can get fruit flavor in a recipe without adding a lot of moisture. And I just loved the idea of fruit in a cookie. And then I just like loved how cute it was gonna look. So I'm gonna cut the nuts into 2 different sizes. So these are unroasted, like raw macadamia nuts, unsalted. They're not toasted because I want them to have that sort of more pale color. And then I have some just raw pistachios here because I want them to be as green as possible. And what ends up happening when you have a nut in a cookie is that often whatever's exposed in the oven will sort of toast a little bit. So I don't need to toast them ahead of time. The macadamia nuts are gonna be a little more coarse because I want those big pieces studded throughout. And then the pistachios will be a little bit finer. And one thing I do when I'm chopping nuts, because inevitably what happens is you make some pieces that like turn to dust and some stay really big. So I like to kind of give them a little toss on the cutting board and move the bigger pieces to one side. And these are just gonna be a little bit finer. If you can find really green ones, these are really beautiful, very, very bright green pistachios. But like any raw pistachios are fine. Okay, so I have my nuts that are chopped up and I'm gonna kind of toss them together just to make them look as realistic as possible. I leave some of the really, really fine pieces on the cutting board. So I just kind of grab, like the big pieces kind of rise to the top, and so I just grab those off the cutting board, leaving behind any bits that are just super fine. So those are the nuts. I'm gonna set those aside, and then we are going to get out the food processor and start to put together the dough. The reason I like food processor cookie dough is because often for a cookie, or at least when I'm making cookies, you have to end up like grinding something. And then it's like, what I really don't want to do is use the food processor and then get out my mixer. So we just keep it all here in one place. I spent probably every single morning of high school eating Special K with red berries. Then I had to swear off of it for 10 years because I had too much, but I love freeze-dried strawberries. I just love how concentrated the flavor is. What's wonderful is you can add some concentrated fruit flavor without adding moisture or additional sugar, which is really nice. And then I'm gonna add a little salt and just a very, very small amount of baking powder. And then we're gonna grind this until the strawberries kind of basically disappear and I have a kind of nice uniform pink color. You want as much of the strawberries to break down as possible. If you wanted to skip the sifting, you could, but I like doing it because it's gonna remove seeds and anything that just didn't get ground into the flour. And I'm sifting onto a piece of parchment paper because we're gonna save the parchment paper and use it to form our log of dough. Because again, this is a slice and bake cookie. No need to watch the food processor. Now I'm gonna start to assemble the dough. This is a strawberry almond cookie and it uses almond paste, which I actually think has become an item that's a lot easier to find these days in any grocery store. So I'm gonna start with a stick of butter, then 4 ounces of almond paste. You want to just go ahead and make sure that your almond paste is nice and soft like this. It almost has like a modeling clay texture, so that's what you want. I tested the recipe with granulated, but I really liked the texture better with confectioners. I just felt like it had a nice snappiness that I really liked. So the almond paste already has that kind of almond extract added, but I like to amp it up a little bit so that it balances out with the strawberry flavors. You can see it's nice and smooth and creamy, no lumps. That's the most important thing, is you just don't want it to be lumpy. And this is what's great about a food processor, is it just breaks everything down so quickly. So I'm gonna just turn it back on for another few seconds. So I have an egg white here. See how it like holds together? So I wanna just beat this a little bit to break up the egg white and make it a little bit more liquid, because I'm gonna divide it. Okay, I knew I wanted to add egg to the recipe because egg is a great binder and it's gonna help like keep everything together. But I didn't want to add a yolk because it was not gonna give me the color that I wanted. I'm gonna add a tablespoon of egg white to my food processor, and then I'm gonna reserve the remaining egg white because we're gonna use this for brushing the log of dough and coating in sugar. So I'm just gonna process this again, incorporate the egg white. Okay. Now I'm gonna scrape that one more time. All right, and now I'm gonna add my dry ingredients back in, all in one shot. And again, save your piece of parchment paper. We're gonna use that for assembling. So now I'm gonna process this again. The dough comes together so fast, it just takes like a minute or two. So see how it's starting to form a ball around the blade? That's how we know we're done. Right now, it's this really kind of bright coral pink. You can definitely add a drop or two of food coloring. If you wanna amp up the color, you definitely can, but I'm leaving this natural for today. I don't wanna add the nuts into the food processor because the blade is sharp and it would just break up all the nuts and ground them in even finer. And I don't wanna do that. So I'm gonna scrape this out. I wanna just knead this a couple times because it's not perfectly uniform. One thing I love about using almond paste in a cookie dough is that it keeps the dough like soft and supple but not sticky. It's just really nice. So once I have it pretty uniform, I'm gonna pat it down.
Created another universe.
I will say that if you're working in a really hot kitchen, what might happen as the butter warms is it can get a little shiny. So if at this point it feels like it warmed up, throw it in the fridge for a couple minutes. All right, so now I'm gonna incorporate the nuts, sprinkle those on top, and now knead again. I wanna just work the nuts in and distribute them. And you can use the parchment paper to help you, kind of get everything incorporated. And again, you're not really gonna overwork it.
Looking for your dream job? Researching companies is key to finding the perfect fit. FlexJobs is here to help. With our company guides, you can research thousands of companies that offer flexible, remote, and hybrid.
Once it looks like everything is nice and distributed, we want to work this into a log shape. The thing that I don't really want to do is feel like stuck in the kitchen, like rolling out dough and punching out shapes. And then it's like, what do you do with the scraps? So I like slice and bake because there's no waste and like you're not like touching the dough a million times. Okay, so you can see I have it worked into this sort of like rough log. And if I see any larger pieces of nuts sticking out on the surface, I'm gonna push it in and like pinch around a little bit. And this is going to not only give you that look of like a slice of mortadella, but it's gonna make it easier to slice because sometimes if you hit a larger piece of nut on the outside, it catches your knife and it might break apart. So now we're gonna use the parchment paper to roll this into a really tight, even, uniform cylinder shape. You're gonna take your parchment paper, you're gonna take the far end and fold it down over the dough, and then you're gonna grab your bench scraper and angle it almost horizontal, but angled down toward the surface, and you are going to push toward the dough. Under pressure, it forces it into this cylinder shape, and it's gonna elongate it a little bit. And what ends up happening is if you don't wrap it really, really tightly, you'll get sometimes like little air pockets in the center of the dough, and then when you go to slice it, not only do you have that gap, but it can also break apart. After doing that motion, it's nice and smooth and even. So now what we wanna do is I'm gonna roll this whole thing up into the parchment paper. The final step of forming this is to actually now wrap it in plastic. So you want a pretty big piece like this. Fold the plastic wrap over. And the idea now is that I have overhang of parchment and of the plastic. So I'm gonna grab the ends where I have the excess and squeeze and pinch. And now I'm going to start to twist in opposite directions. And this is going to, under pressure, just compress the dough even more. And I'm ready to put it in the fridge. And actually one thing I like to do, because I'm really neurotic, is I like to stand it up in the fridge so that it doesn't develop a flat surface. Does that make sense? Just like that. Now we are gonna do one quick step before slicing them and baking them, and that is coating them in some sanding sugar. So sanding sugar is a very sparkly, kind of large crystal sugar. This is a great touch because the cookie itself is not super, super sweet, and so the sanding sugar adds like a tiny bit more sweetness and a really, really satisfying crunch. Here's the dough. It's so nice and smooth and firm. I'm gonna take that remaining egg white, and you don't need a lot of it. I'm just gonna go all the way across the surface, all the way around. So you can see it's definitely a more vibrant pink than when it went into the fridge, and that's because it sort of hydrates as it sits and chills, and so the color gets darker. And so you might be like, why would I add food coloring if it's already this like very nice, intense pink? But what happens when you bake it is it does dull a little bit. So it's totally up to you. But now I'm gonna take my sanding sugar, this is just about 1/3 of a cup, and I'm gonna sprinkle it across my cutting board. You could just do this on a clean work surface. And now we're just gonna roll it in the sugar. And I like to press pretty firmly because yes, the egg white is gonna help it adhere, but if you can really press it into the surface of the dough, that works even better. And now we're almost ready to slice and bake, but I found that I got the best result if I froze the dough briefly, just for like 10 minutes or so. I'm not gonna freeze it solid. We're just gonna freeze it to the point where the dough gets very, very firm, and that's because the firmer the dough, the more easily your knife is gonna slide through the nuts and the dough at the same time. You just want these nice, clean, sharp slices. My oven is on 300. So 300 is kind of low for baking cookies, but it's because we want the cookie to set and kind of like dehydrate, but not get too brown, because we want to keep that nice pink color. So time to slice. And make sure you're using a sharp knife, that always helps. There we have our mortadella look. When I first made them, my husband was like, what is going on? Because I pulled this thing out of the fridge and it didn't have the sugar on it, and he was like so confused. Yes, I was like, it was weirdly close. So I like to just do one kind of smooth, even motion, like a single pass with the knife to slice, and you get your nice cross section. And another thing I do when I cut slice and bake cookies is I always rotate the dough a little bit as I cut to try to maintain the round shape. And it also helps you to make sure that you're slicing evenly at the same time. And these do not spread much. There's only a little bit of baking powder in the recipe, so you can space them pretty close together. And rather than going one by one, I like to just slice a bunch. It'd be funny if you made like a chocolate salami, you could really put out like a whole charcuterie platter that was actually just cookies. But also just like charcuterie platter and cookies, like sounds like a fun party. I want to go to that party.
I'm David Ding. I graduated from Northwestern University and I've been a software engineer for 4 years. With traditional...
Kill yourself. Jaden Wing. Wing.
And so now I'm gonna get these right into the oven
Wing.
for a little bit under 20 minutes, so 16 to 19 minutes.
What his name
You wanna
is.
bake them just until you start to see a hint of browning around the sides. Here are the baked cookies. You can see they didn't spread very much. They're pretty fragile at this point, so I'm gonna let them sit for a few minutes and rest on the baking sheets, and then I'll transfer them to a wire rack and let them fully cool, and then we'll taste them. So actually you can see when I turn the cookie over that it's just ever so slightly golden brown on the bottom. So that's what you want. It's just like a weird phenomenon of using freeze-dried fruit in baking, that the color mutes a little bit and tones down, and now it really does have that mortadella look, which is great. I feel like this is a great one to add to the cookie roster because it's on the lower effort, higher yield side, and so then you can like also then put your time into something like a little bit more elaborate, like a Linzer cookie or another like sandwich cookie, and you still have this like really fun one to show. All right, so I'm gonna taste. The strawberry flavor is unexpectedly concentrated, and strawberry and almond go so well together. And I also just love how tender they are. It was the kind of thing where I kind of couldn't stop eating them at home. It's like so easy to just like keep pulling, keep taking a cookie off of a plate. I'm very excited to try all of the other cookies from Cookie Week. Am I gonna get to try them? Oh my God, really? Oh my God. Yes, I'm so excited. I'm also really hungry. Yes. Oh my gosh. So for this recipe and all the others from Cookie Week, you can go to NYT Cooking. Happy holidays. I think either way, if I saw something that was a cookie and it ended up being mortadella, I'd be like, oh, I'm psyched. But then if I saw something I thought was mortadella and it ended up being a cookie, I'd be like, awesome. So you really can't go wrong. Also, what are these like? Is it coconut? That one's really yummy. I'm so excited.
With Shopify, I can turn my passion for coffee into a business. And to be honest, when I first started Chamberlain Coffee, I had a lot of anxiety about not being a business person. But what can be really helpful is to have tools. And Shopify was an incredible tool for Chamberlain Coffee. It just made making a website doable for somebody like me who's never done it before. And trust me, if I can do it, so can you.
Hi everyone, I'm Claire Saffitz. Welcome to my home kitchen. Today I'm showing you a recipe that would be a great Thanksgiving pie. It's a sweet potato pie. It's kind of a variation on the classic pumpkin with kind of a like Southern American twist. We're gonna add some molasses. It is a very, very intensely flavored filling. It has this like beautiful dark orange hue, and it's just like a great custard pie for any time of year, but specifically Thanksgiving. Okay, I love sweet potatoes, and this time of year we're getting like the new crop of potatoes. So there were garnet yams at the grocery store, which is what I have here, and I just love sweet potato. I eat them a lot. I cook them a lot for our baby. It's a great
Bitch, do I look Turkish? Do I look Turkish? Usimdi Cinderella uzun dizin Cinderella. Do I look like a Turkish person?
By royal decree, you're blocked. Being done, mother. Animal hypostasis in you?
Be silent. Observe. Do you fear the dark? Be silent. Do you fear the dark? Close your eyes.
The hunter becomes the hunted.
I created another universe and founded paradise.
Okay, I can do the Hexen Circle thing for these two. Do the homework. Thank God there's this books to experience mode. Oh my God.
As for the potion I need to make. Oh,
This is like deja vu.
Here to help with
my
As I did this
dad.
yesterday while you were watching.
going.
Yes. Still,
What? Is there a problem with the experiment?
I've been
Oh.
It's not as simple as just failing.
Oh, right.
One meant to develop, that is to say.
Wow.
This is my...
But
Yes.
Oh. Yeah. We came here to do just that.
Here it is. That said,
Now,
I need spring...
we've got this.
Let's tackle the Eye of the Storm first.
Oh my God.
Be silent. Observe. Do you
All right. That's the first ingredient.
Wow, you two work fast. That step usually takes me forever. The high quality of Springvale's...
Honestly, these don't take that long. They're pretty easy. They're pretty quick to do.
That's all we needed, right?
I think they're just like a
All right.
they're just like an excuse
Is something wrong?
to put something in the lore as to why the characters got stronger. They want to make the buffs like part of like the base game, part of like the lore of the characters, if that makes sense. So they're doing this. Is that person? Show understand shit. You play in English? They have like a Turkish. They have Turkish for Genshin. I don't think they do. I know that they have Russian because the Russian fan base is huge. Like, Genshin is pretty huge in Russia. I don't think it's that huge in Turkey. I don't know, maybe it's huge in Turkey. There is a Turkish mode. There is a Turkish language. Wait, you're lying. Language. Oh, there is. Türkçe. Türkçe. İngilizce. İngilizce. Français. I can speak French. Langue du jeu, voix du jeu, préférence de langue, des niveaux du Paradisia Miliastra. Contrôle, type de contrôleur, clavier et souris. Sensibilité horizontale de la caméra, sensibilité verticale de la caméra, sensibilité horizontale de la caméra, mode visée, sensibilité verticale de la caméra, mode visée. Recentrage automatique de la caméra verticale, caméra combat, distance de la caméra par défaut. Ajustage automatique de la caméra en naviguant. Commande, avancer, reculer, aller à gauche, aller à droite. Intervenir entre course et marche ou descendre dans certains modes spécifiques. Attaque normale, compétences élémentaires, déchaînement élémentaire, sprinter, activer, désactiver le mode visé, sauter ou monter dans certains modes spécifiques. Se laisser tomber, prendre, interagir, usage rapide du gadget. I don't know. I wish there was French. I wish there was Arabic. I only speak Arabic and French and English. I don't speak foreign languages. I'm sorry. Actually, I always want to learn foreign languages. I want to learn Spanish as a fourth language. I know just a little bit. Like, if I see Spanish, I can like understand kind of what it means because I already know French and English.
It's like a specific exact.
Okay, this. Oh. Wait a second. That's not a sweet flower at all.
Careful.
We can talk.
What do you know in Arabic?
Close your eyes.
Do you know what's funny? I remember this flower, this whopper flower. This whopper flower used to be an event in 1.2 when I started the game. Like right when I started the game, this whopper flower was in an event. And it was like a co-op event where you like co-op to kill the flower.
This means I'm still not. That means I can't say either way. There's a lot that.
Well, we're here if you ever need. Just think about it.
I have my doubts. You might become 16 times bigger, but you.
Yeah. Nope.
Oh, that's so in that sense.
Taste.
That's right.
Señor. Adventurers Guild. What? By the way. Oh my god, by the way, I also have something by the way to say.
Ad Astra Abyssosk. Greetings, traveler.
Hey there, Catherine. Oh, and Oz and Fischler. All things in this.
Mein Fräulein means.
You're here just in time.
Wait, tell me what your by the way, and then I will tell you my by the way.
Wait. In that case, in any case.
Hold on. I mean, halt, nay.
What mein Fr...
Wow, you seem really jazzed about this commission.
Well, let's head.
Ad Astra.
What will get you 101 pulls only?
Thank you for complete. Ad Astra.
This bitch is saying 101 pulls only. Only. 101 pulls only. Bitch, I don't know if I'm gonna even get like pity. Yeah, I'm gonna break your heart about geocrystallize, like lunar crystallize. Lunar crystallize doesn't do a lot of damage. Like it's really bad. I saw like this theory crafter. He makes like guides for like Genshin and stuff. And basically, like playing Noel defense. Noel is the best geo applier in the game. That's why he used Noel. Playing Noel with defense does more damage than playing Noel with EM. And like the Lunar Crystallize, it scales off of EM. So like imagine a character that that doesn't have good damage does more damage with defense than EM. It's like think about it, like Kuki Shinobu, like building attack on Kuki Shinobu would do more damage than Hyper Bloom. Like that's what it means. That's how bad the reaction is. But Hyper Bloom is good, so you play Kuki Shinobu with EM. So like Lunar Crystallize is bad. Like the reaction itself is bad, but Jibai, like Jibai or whatever her name is, her like own scalings are good. That's why she's gonna be like a decent. Actually, I don't know if she's gonna be decent or not. I didn't look into her. But yeah, even Lunar Crystallize is bad. Iluga buffs Iluga doesn't buff Lunar Crystallize. He buffs like auto attack, elemental skill, elemental burst damage that does the Lunar Crystallize. It's like how Nephros charge attack, they do like Lunar Bloom, right? It's not like her doing Hydro and Dendro to get like the Lunar Dendro stuff. So like it's the same thing for like Iluga. Iluga would like buff damage. Like imagine if Iluga was for Flames, he would only buff his burst. He wouldn't buff when Flames does Hydro and Electro. So Iluga or whatever, he's gonna only be good for like literally gonna be only good for Zebai. And he could be good for like other Geo characters, I don't know. But he doesn't buff Lunar Crystallize. It's pretty sad. Dude, isn't this Fischl's story quest? Why am I talking to this guy? Fischl's story quest is kind of long. I know, right? I'm getting bored of it. So I want to go to bed early today. I'm pretty tired. I'm just now streaming. Like earlier I was making a mod and it was like a nude mod, so I couldn't stream that. And then I played a little bit of League of Legends, but League of Legends was so fucking boring. And then I was like, let me go do my dailies in my Genshin alt, because I did them on my main. Princess never act alone. Nay, I, the princess, have beheld the mystery of the universe enshrined on these specks of dust. What hath been revealed is the very fount of wisdom. Ever does it flow toward the shores of truth. You need primos? Girl, I also need primos. And I don't have an Algerian sugar daddy. At least you have your Algerian sugar daddy that gets you Welkins. Oh, speaking of Welkins, I'm almost done with Welkin. My Welkin is almost gone. I need to top up for a Welkin. Dude, you know, if I get Durin on this account, I literally don't have a weapon for him. That is fucking crazy. That's crazy to me. Algerian daddy's broke. I mean, he just bought you a Welkin. These are pretty cheap, like $4. You didn't talk to him for 2 days because he didn't buy more stuff. I'm sorry, one Welkin gets you like 30 minutes of co-op time with me. He doesn't have internet. Honestly, the internet in Algeria is pretty good. Maybe he's just ghosting you. Maybe he found another sugar baby. Maybe he bought like a 100. What do you mean? He can't afford the internet? What do you mean? He said he doesn't have internet? Girl, I think he's lying. Literally everyone in Algeria has internet. Like, who doesn't have internet? If you don't have like landline internet, you have like the mobile internet. Also, one Welkin costs. You said he had C6 characters. How the fuck can't he afford the internet if he can afford C6 characters? Oh, I think he's lying to you. I think he's lying to you, girl. You need to go fight him. Speak of the devil. Tell him I'm watching my favorite Algerian streamer. Make him jealous. Oh, he doesn't log into Genshin. Dude, that's crazy. People don't have internet to log into Genshin. It's crazy. Period. What if I talk to this guy, he gives me more. Let's fucking go. Are you doing these? Ooh. I think he's gonna ghost you. I think he wants to ghost you. Oh my god. How are you too busy for your baby? Your baby, for your Turkish baby. Your Turkish baby girl. Nah, you need to do better. You can't let this man treat you like this, diva. You're a queen. Dump him. Okay, now I have resonance, so yay. Okay, I wanna farm some artifacts. Let's use these. I'm never gonna use these two sets on any of my characters. So, oh, this looks good. Dude, I still didn't get any goblet, which is super fucking crazy to me. Super fucking crazy how I still don't have an goblet. And like, I shouldn't be farming for this set yet. I need to get llamas to start building my other team. She'll use the set that's here. I have sands on my sucrose. I don't have goblet. I'm gonna spend all of my resin on this. These die pretty quickly. Dude, I literally don't have a healer anymore. Tell me I need to learn how to dodge. Pyro and Hydro damage bonus. Could have been Could have been my goblet, by the way. I can't tell if my flames is doing a little more damage or not. HP crit. We'll save the crit. Dude, these motherfuckers, they move too much. Okay, 3 fragile resin. What did I get out of them? Nothing. I got nothing. I fucking got nothing. Thanks a lot, Rachel. Been running through the jungle, I've been running through the walls to get to you. To get to you. I'm down in the darkness in the moon to get to you. To get to you. Honestly, I can use this. I don't mind using EM. Who the fuck is playing her with Gladiator? Bring them to me. They're a fucking noob. Look down. I'm kind of lucky on my other account. I won't lie. On my other account, I'm pretty lucky. In this account, I'm not. Like on my main account. This Lord's good. Some great defense. Brother, did I just get... You're so petty. You just replied with sorry, busy. You're so fucking petty. No, because why would he say that? I was too busy for you, you little ugly bitch. Leave me alone. That's literally, that's basically what he said to you. This piece is pretty garbage. Like good sands, I would level up the sands first. Don't. 5-star EM sands. I wonder if I have elixirs to do it. No, I only have one elixir. Oh, I can offer one of these. Oh my god, I'm gonna get max stamina. Finally. This will give me my max stamina. Whoa, 240 stamina. Oh my god. A lot of people talk about like how, oh, back in the day, you only needed like 10 of these to like level this shit up. But this shit literally gives you like 10 primos. So, how good is that? Big Bro League. Shut the fuck up. I need to go to the dentist tomorrow. I can't wait. I kind of like Fischl's design. Like the base design. Looks like Misa Amani cat. I mean, I can buy more than 101, but I don't want to spend more on cooked. How much is like C6? Let me pull out the calculator. It's just like I have a hole in one of my teeth. I need to get like filling, and the other one hurts. I'm gonna go and tell him about both. Yeah. Isa Hamani cut. You need like, let's say to get to like pity, let's say 78 pity. 78 makes sense. And how much are you gonna lose? You're gonna need 7 copies. But 7 copies. But you're gonna need 7 copies, right? But you could lose 50-50. Let's say you lose 3 times. So you need 780 pulls. Good luck, bitch. You got braces. Oh my god. You were braces. Oh my god, it's so embarrassing. No, cause like that's so embarrassing. What do you mean you wear braces? It's so embarrassing. How are you alive? How are you alive? With braces. Like when you talk, they fall out of your mouth. You're like, bitch, let me bully you. Wait, let's see if this is attack. His attack is 2 490. Right. Now let's use official. Now it's 2662. That feels wrong. $190 plus 1 times 0 point like 425. Dude, something's wrong. Oh no, she buffs 90 she gives 90 only. She gives 90 only gives 90 here. You can't bully a person with braces. They're $5,000. Definitely not $5,000. No way braces are $5,000. How the fuck are they $5,000? Aren't they literally like metal that they stick to your teeth and then they put like a wire? Then they pull it? Like, why the fuck is it $5,000? So stupid. Dentists are such scammers, by the way. Dentists are fucking scammers. I hope all dentists die. Let me do my Honkai dailies. Your sister's a dentist? She's a scammer. I don't give a fuck. Dentists don't do braces, by the way. Here they do. Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure like here, like if you go to the dentist, like, dude, I'm so fucking pissed. Because the tooth that's hurting right now is the tooth that I got filled. So like he like drilled a hole into my tooth. And like he was drilling and drilling and drilling. And then he put like filling inside of it. Fuck dentists, man. Fuck them. I love redemption codes. I wanna get this Lycone. You're quiet. Whenever I go grind primos. I'm gonna go offline soon as well, so bye bye. Goodbye, loser bitch. Let me go back to watching YouTube.
Alternative to pumpkin when it comes to pie filling. And what I really like about sweet potato is it's like so easy to prep. You just throw them in the oven and roast them. And I kind of think sometimes, depending on what you're using, it can taste, it just has like a different taste than pumpkin that sometimes I kind of like better. Because like pumpkin can be super vegetal and sweet potato just doesn't have that flavor. So I really, really, really like using it in pie. And the color is so beautiful. I have some cooked sweet potato. I just roasted them and scooped the flesh. 4 large eggs, molasses. I have some brown sugar here, heavy cream, unsalted butter, and then I have some warm spice. You could use any mix of warm spice you like, but here I have some cinnamon, ginger, and then here I have kind of a generous pinch of clove, nutmeg, and allspice, some kosher salt. For the pie itself, for assembly, I have pie crust that I already made. You'll need some pie weights, a little egg for egg wash, some flour for rolling it out. And I made a little bit of extra pie crust. I made a 1.5 times recipe, so I have like a half of a single pie crust because I'm gonna do a braided edge. I did one years ago at Thanksgiving for pumpkin pie and it was so pretty, and it's just like a different kind of little decorative touch, which I really like. I think with an open, like a custard pie like this, it's nice to have a little decorative edge, especially for Thanksgiving.
Let Borium sift through 170 million papers and find verified answers in seconds.
So anytime you're making a single crust pie, particularly a custard pie, I think it's non-negotiable that you have to par bake the crust. Otherwise, because you're adding a wet filling, you are never going to get a bottom crust that bakes through. And so this step is tricky, for sure. This is actually, to me, like one of the kind of non-shrinking, like par-baked crust to then pour your custard in that doesn't have any cracks in it. So I'm using a standard 9-inch pie plate here. I made a 1.5 times recipe. So I have one portion that's just like the regular portion for the bottom crust, and then I have a half a recipe for making a kind of decorative edge, which I think is just gonna be fun and totally optional. So behind me I have a sheet tray with a little foil on it, because what happens with a par-baked crust is you get little butter drips, so you wanna catch that. My oven is preheated to 400. So the general technique with a par bake is you put it in pretty hot, and then with the weights, after the crust has had a chance to kind of puff and set and brown a little bit, meaning like it's not going to go anywhere, it's not going to slump, you remove the weights, drop the temp, and then do kind of more like low and slow bake all the way through. So that's the kind of general technique we're going to follow. If you make your pie crust really far in advance and it sits in the fridge, what ends up happening is it tends to oxidize and like go a little bit gray, which isn't so bad, but if you're going to wait for more than a couple days, freeze it. Okay, so I'm just gonna start by rolling this out. I really feel like a custard pie, it is really quite a technical thing to bake. And I think a lot of people attempt it on Thanksgiving because that's a classic Thanksgiving pie. But like if you're a non-baker and the one day you bake out of the year, you're baking a custard pie, it's like, that's really hard. And so watch this video to get a little background on making the process a little bit simpler. I think it's always a good idea to practice whenever you're making something where the stakes are like a little bit higher, like on a Thanksgiving or, you know, any kind of holiday. Okay, so it's actually cracking a little bit, and I think mostly it's cracking because I threw it in the freezer to get it chilled because I had it sitting out for a little bit. That's okay. I'll show you how to deal with cracks as you roll. This side is fine. Okay, so here is my round, and I don't need it to be particularly wide because I'm going to trim flush with the plate, so it's not like I need an overhang to reinforce the edge. I just don't want it to be too thick, so I'm going to go until it's about 1/8 of an inch. It's always a good idea. When you're rolling out any kind of pastry, to keep it moving and to give it lots of like turns, and just like the bench scraper really helps because you just don't want it to stick to the surface, because what happens is like if you lift it off, then it can kind of contract and shrink and you don't actually know like how thick you've rolled it out or how thin. Okay, but this looks good. I am going to roll it onto my rolling pin and unroll it into my pie plate. Now, anytime you're fitting pastry into a mold or a pan of some kind, you want to let it slump down and fill all of any air gaps, and you don't want to stretch it because that is what is going to lead to kind of shrinking and contracting when you bake. And what happens when the pastry shrinks is it'll crack, and then you have like a structural problem when you go to add your very liquid filling. So I like to press really, really firmly. And really paying attention to that gap between the side and the bottom so that it's like in full contact with the plate everywhere, all the way around. And now I'm going to press the pastry pretty firmly against the lip of the pie plate all the way around. This looks good. I'm not going to trim it yet. I'm going to let it get cold. I'm going to stick this into the freezer actually. And then I'm going to grab that little half portion of pie dough and roll that out and start to make my little braided edge. So what I think I'm going to do here is roll it out and do a little fold. Basically flatten everything, get those pieces of butter flat, fold the pastry back on top of itself, and roll again. You do risk kind of overworking it, but we're going to let it rest. I also, when I chilled this portion of dough, I kept it as a rectangle. I chilled it as a rectangle, and that's because I'm going to cut thin strips. So it's just easier. With a braid, you want the dough to be pretty thin. You just, otherwise you end up with a layer that's too thick because you're taking three strands and weaving them together. If they're too thick, then you just get this like very like unwieldy layer that rests on the surface of the pie plate. Okay, so this dough is now starting to contract a little bit, so I've worked it a good amount and it's not really going to thin out much more. So I'm going to start cutting my strips. I'm going to cut several of these strips because once you start braiding them together, it's like I'm going to need to kind of like weave together multiple strips to get the length in order to go around the circumference of the pie plate. So I'm going to cut a lot of these. And now I just start braiding. If you've ever braided before, it's the exact same technique. If you haven't braided before, this is maybe not the time to start. You just take 3 strands, and it's the kind of classic like bringing the outer ones to the center. And I just kind of start toward the top, but I don't really worry too much about like pinching them together and like starting at one point, because you want the ends loose so that you can kind of bring it around and meet the opposite end and try to kind of get them together a little bit as seamless as possible. So I want to braid tightly, but when I say tight, I mean like without air gaps, but you don't want to stretch the dough, really. But I am like fitting everything together in a way that it's not loose. So I'm going to keep doing this, and then once I get to the bottom and I start to run out of one, I'm going to try to basically connect another strand and hide it by tucking it underneath like its neighbor. So you're not going to see those seams, hopefully. So now we're ready to attach the braid to our bottom pie crust. I have an egg here that I'm going to beat just to make a little egg wash. And the egg wash is going to be like a glue to adhere the braid to the bottom crust. I'm also going to grab a little paring knife. And I'm going to use that to trim the bottom crust. Okay, and I have a little pastry brush right here. So this is really, really firm. And I'm going to use the paring knife to just cut alongside the pie plate and remove the excess crust. Okay. So now This is my glue, my egg wash. I'm gonna brush a thin layer of egg wash just around the lip where I'm gonna attach the braid. And now I'm gonna slide the braid off of the cutting board and onto my pie. All right, so I do have some overlap, which is good. I am going to just sort of gently press the braid so it adheres. And now where it meets, I am going to try to, let me trim off some of the excess, and I'm going to try to kind of seamlessly weave them together and like tuck the end so you can't see where there's a beginning and an end. Gonna do that. And then where does this one go? Oh, this one goes there. Okay. This looks so pretty. I'm just kind of gently going around and making sure that I have a lot of contact and that the braid is right up against the very edge of my pie plate. So now I want to actually just stick this back in the freezer. I want to give the dough a little bit of time so that the braid can relax. I was doing a lot of manipulating, and I want that to be able to relax so that it doesn't contract in the oven and like, you know, kind of like shift around and shrink. So another trip to the freezer, maybe 10 minutes or so, and then my oven is already on 400. I have my lined baking sheet. What's going to happen is I'm going to line this pie with a little bit of foil, being really careful not to disturb the edge, get my pie weights in, and get it into the oven.
Looking for a trusted way to find remote, freelance, or flexible work? FlexJobs can.
Thank you to whoever's watching. It's time for me to go to bed. I need to go to the dentist tomorrow. Try to sleep early. Thanks for watching.